Hello, I'm Brad Stubbe, Sheriff of Manitou County, and welcome to Sheriff's Patrol.
And I'm Dave Bristow. Coming up on Sheriff's Patrol, the search for Sabine Musil-Buehler, the missing Anna Maria woman, continues. And a new county ordinance could help locate stolen property. But first on Sheriff's Patrol, police pursuits. You've seen them on the big screen, and in recent years, actual footage from pursuits has been all over TV news and the internet. The Sheriff's Office was recently involved in several high-profile pursuits, as we hear from Sheriff's Patrol's Randy Warren.
Dave, maybe for some, this is a natural reaction. A driver did something wrong, doesn't want to get caught, so he or she tries to get away. The problem is these attempts to elude the law can quickly get out of control and puts many other lives at risk. Car chases make for great television.
If he doesn't stop this soon, there's going to be a terrible accident here. Oh!
The bad guy decides he can outrun the law.
He's run right into that car.
And so the chase is on.
It ain't worth it.
But in Manatee County, before sheriff's deputies engage in high-speed pursuits, they must first meet specific protocol.
There are a lot of things that a deputy must very quickly assess at the moment that they determine they are going to initiate a pursuit.
The criteria for high-speed pursuits is clearly outlined in the Sheriff's Office General Orders.
There are a lot of factors that must be considered. Those must be the initial violation of law or reasonably believed violation of law, traffic conditions, weather conditions, road conditions, people around the area, safety to the deputy, safety to the community.
When it comes to vehicle pursuits, the Sheriff's Office has the advantage.
You can run, but you cannot hide.
Recently, this suspect,
Watch 2, we have eastbound past 75th.
driving a stolen truck,
Looks like the stop sticks were deployed.
led deputies on an exciting trek.
Still driving extremely erratic, and he's up on the sidewalk, passing another vehicle on the curb.
Leaving a trail of accidents along the way.
Through Cortez sideways, single forward, single forward, single forward. All units,
As a precaution,
priority 3,
patrol units pull back.
let watch take the eye.
Aviation then tracks his direction.
Still erratic. Traffic is moderate. There is nobody in pursuit. He is doing this all of his own accord.
All MSO terminate for the lieutenant at 1022. Watch is going to continue to follow.
He's coming to the gridlock, trying to thread the needle, sideswiping cars coming off the bridge now. He's still just sideswiping cars. He's fixing to come into a gridlock. Looks like he's single 4. Looks like he's single 4. See if he's going to try and push his way through. He's stuck right this second, right at the base of the bridge. Brandon Beach doing a felony takedown. Doing a felony takedown of the driver. Stand by. Just broke the driver's window. Have the subject at gunpoint. We need some more units up here.
The arrest is made.
All right, the driver's been pulled through the driver's side window. They have him on the ground, handcuffing now.
We feel that we relieve a lot of what the deputies have to do. They don't have to talk on the radio and drive at the same time. That's the biggest thing that we're able to see ahead of what they might do. Where hey, this is coming up, or hey, you're entering a crossfire if it stops, and that's where we feel we get that information out faster than what a road deputy would do, because we're seeing the big picture of the pursuit.
A few weeks after that chase,
Manatee is solo in the truck, scraggly white male with a black t-shirt.
the helicopter and crew are following a bank robbery suspect.
He's turning back around. He's going to be southbound 301. Southbound 301. Somebody's got to pick him up. I'm in the overpass.
Again, the driver has no intention of stopping.
When he made that U-turn, it would have been catch up, but we were there. We were able to call it back out, follow him, be able to get let deputies know which direction they're traveling, get the stop sticks to them in front of it and everything. So I think that was the key for that apprehension.
Eastbound 51st. Eastbound 51st.
The eye in the sky is keeping everyone informed on where he's heading
Southbound 33rd. Southbound 33rd.
and what his next moves might be.
If you guys are close, let's start moving in now because he's barely moving. I think his truck's finally giving out on him.
23E is single 0 with a handgun.
Watch your crossfire, guys. Watch your crossfire.
Within minutes, the driver began shooting at deputies.
Shots fired, shots fired.
Lieutenant Bob Mealy suffers a gunshot wound to his right arm.
Manatee, I've been shot in the arm, right arm.
Following an exchange of gunfire, deputies learn the driver has shot and killed himself.
Can you see motion at all?
No, he hasn't moved in our 2 passes.
That is exactly why a violator of law should not run from the police.
More on that shooting and a conversation with Lieutenant Mealy is just ahead. But Sheriff, this just goes to show how dangerous these chases can be. As you know, these people rarely give up easily, and for them, it just doesn't end well.
Well, that's exactly right, Randy. I mean, our helicopter is so good for us during these pursuits because what happens here is all patrol units can just back off because the helicopter's calling it. We know where the person's at. Terrible when you get into these high-speed pursuits and you have to actually follow these people. A lot of decisions have to be made by our supervision.
Split-second decisions.
Absolutely.
And you know, Sheriff, we had another one the other day involving a motorcycle, and the great thing about that one, we had our watch unit up, the motorcycle flies into Sarasota County, and they have their watch unit up.
And that motorcycle was, I'm told, going close to 150 miles an hour on the interstate.
Unbelievable.
Very.
Going back toward Venice and then coming back into Sarasota, and he was finally apprehended. Joining us right now is Lieutenant Bob Mealy. And Bob, first and foremost, we're obviously thankful that everything worked out okay on that day. Now take us back when you first saw the bank robbery suspect.
I initially saw the bank robbery suspect. To back up a little bit, there was deputies that arrived on scene, did a phenomenal job of getting good suspect information out over the air, suspect information and vehicle information. And while I was driving to the scene, I was headed south on 15th Street East, and I saw the suspect vehicle coming north on 15th Street East, and we literally passed each other. And I looked at the suspect. He did not look at me, but I knew it was him. And I got turned around, and a pursuit ensued, and we chased the suspect, and he eventually stopped on 33rd Street East. And we were going to initiate a felony traffic stop. And all units were positioned in the correct manner, and we were barking out orders to the suspect to exit his vehicle, which he was not complying whatsoever. I was standing next to Deputy Dawn Atkinson, and I remember specifically barking out an order or two for the suspect to show us his hands and to come out of the vehicle. Again, he wasn't complying. And then just as quick as you can blink, a gun emerged out of the driver's side window back towards Deputy Atkinson and I, and the suspect started firing rounds at us. And it was the very first round that he fired that hit me in the wrist.
So, you know, Bob, it was a stressful day for all of us that were there on the scene. And obviously during a felony takedown, we have a number of those that take place every day in our community. And you just can't become complacent because of this guy shooting back at us as first Deputy Atkinson, and then you were trying to give him commands, and he leans out of the window and just starts firing rounds at us. So very, very difficult day for everybody.
Sheriff, it was a stressful day, and as a law enforcement officer, you can participate in multiple felony traffic stops, and for the most part, they can go uneventful. Usually you're able to make an arrest and nobody's hurt and everybody goes home. This one today obviously was eventful just because of what happened. And again, I'm just grateful for the way everything turned out. I'm grateful for my fellow deputies that I was with. I'm grateful for you for being there, rendering aid after I got shot.
And Bob, finally, it certainly didn't take long for you to get back to work.
I was actually anxious to get back to work. I took a total of 2 weeks off. I was healing up well, and I realized I was very fortunate that the injury I did sustain has no lasting permanent damage or anything like that. So I was anxious to get back to work and to get back to doing what I love to do.
And this is unbelievable. I'm driving on a Saturday, not very long after the shooting, and I hear Bob Mealy's voice on the radio, and it was like, Debbie, he's back to work already. And I sent him a text message, and I'd kept up with him until he did go back to work, but very quick back to work.
Now, what were you thinking, Sheriff? Because you got caught up right in the middle of this thing.
You go back to your training, and of course, you know, I was a SWAT guy for 17 years, and this isn't the first shooting that I've been involved in. So, of course, Bob Mealy got injured in this one. It makes it entirely different. But a lot of things run through your mind. And then, of course, I feel a lot for the folks that were involved, because they're going to have some memories of this that last with them for a long time.
Well, certainly we want to thank Bob Mealy for being with us. And Bob, along with Sheriff Stubbe, Brady McCabe, Benjamin Main, Don Atkinson, Paul Harris, and Keith Sutton all received the Distinguished Service Award for their extraordinary bravery during this incident. Dispatcher Tanya Moore received the Meritorious Service Award. And certainly congratulations to all of those deputies. Well, the Manatee County Law Enforcement Memorial Service was recently held at the courthouse. The annual event honors local law enforcement who have died in the line of duty.
It is no exaggeration to say that without our police officers being willing to put their lives on the line every day to enforce the law, our country would look a lot like other parts of the world, and our lives would be very different.
Judge Adams just did an outstanding job, Dave, with his comments, and we did something a little bit different this year because the venue was a little bit different. We allowed families to actually walk with the law enforcement officer up to the memorial, and that was very touching.
Yeah, and a brand new look down at the courthouse. Looks nice.
It was wonderful, really was.
All right, we'll be back with more Sheriff's Patrol right after this.
Criminals are banking on you not properly keeping records of your valuables so that they can dispose of them and get money for them.
Hey, that's me. I'm a busy gal, so I gotta have all the latest gadgets. But sometimes I'm so busy that I forget to lock my car. See that guy? He's a burglar. He loves people like me. It's almost as if I were asking for it.
Prevent auto burglaries. Put your valuables out of sight and always lock your car.
I don't know. My mom said I should be home at midnight.
Don't worry. I'll make sure I get you home. Happy anniversary.
We're just gonna take her home, all right?
Take her home. She's not breathing.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sheriff's Patrol. Along with Sheriff Brad Stubbe, I'm Dave Bristow. It's been nearly 6 years since Anna Maria Island resident Sabine Musil-Buehler disappeared. Detectives have since charged William Cumber with murder, and the former boyfriend will go to trial later this year. Recently, detectives were back on the island searching for Musil-Buehler's body.
These cases that we're working, the homicide cases, we have meetings like very frequently about different cases and what we can do about them, and what happened in the Sabine cases. We started brainstorming, and we came up with the cell phone records, and there might have been a ping that happened off of Sabine's cell phone, which was a ping hit the tower in Teresea. So we go out to the island and we find out that the only way if not hitting the Holmes Beach Tower would have been if you were on this particular property. So we went out there and we thought, well, it is conducive to hiding the body. So we reached out to the search and rescue unit of the Sarasota County with the cadaver dogs, and they actually came out, and the way the brush and the foliage is out there, they explained to us with the way the dogs work, there could be the burial spot like within 50 yards of where the foliage is, and whatever the aroma or whatever the proteins could go down to the foliage, and that's where the dogs would hit on. So once we had the confirmation from the 6 cadaver dogs, we got with the sheriff and we asked for the Bobcat and wound up getting the Bobcat out there along with crime scene, and we started digging again, and unfortunately we couldn't still find her.
You know, Dave, these cases never go away. We're always reviewing the evidence, and we thought we had a shot here, maybe at finding her body.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing, but I know that the detectives, the state attorney's office, they build a very strong case, and we'll see what happens later this year.
Yes.
You know, families of victims of violent crimes recently held a vigil to honor their loved ones. Let's take a look at what happened that night.
I'd like to quote from President Reagan: "Our concerns for crime victims rest on far more than simple recognition that it could happen to any of us. All of us have an interest in seeing justice is done, not only to the criminal, but also for those who suffer the consequences of his crime. Our lives can be changed suddenly by crime. No one is exempt."
You know, there's things you want to forget. You know, you want to feel it, but you can't let it control your life. You got to go on with life no matter what happens, even without the loss. But events like this, people like Susie, really allow you to open back up and feel it. You know, I don't have to take it with me every day and the sorrow, but it allows me to take the time to mourn. And that's what an event like this does for me. And to see the outreaching to the community and all the people in the community gathering like this, and to know that the funds that they made available that are helping to pay for my nephew's funeral has came from victims, from criminals themselves, that's huge. That's huge that they set up programs like that. It's awesome.
And just like the Law Enforcement Memorial, the venue for this was new as well. And these are the people that continue to suffer year after year after year. And our hearts go out to them. And our victim advocates do just a great job in trying to fulfill a need there.
Yeah, they really do. And if you just think back, you know, you tend to go case by case, but then you look at the totality of it and so many victims.
So many.
Unbelievable. Sheriff, we have a new secondhand dealer ordinance in Manatee County, and that's certainly good news for burglary victims. Lieutenant Pat Casella says tracking stolen property will be a little easier now.
The county ordinance went to 30 days instead of 15 days. On the ordinance where the secondhand dealers have to hold the property for that many days. They also have to keep the property inside the stores. And also, one of the good things about the new ordinance is that they have to take a picture now. Each business have to take a picture of each individual item was sold, and also a picture of the person that's selling it and their identification card. And one thing about the ordinance is going to have is that all the electronic devices, all the appliances, and now all the jewelry that is sold to secondhand dealers, this ordinance is going to apply to those 3 items. So that's really going to help us out in the long run.
Okay, thanks a lot, Lieutenant Casella. You know, Sheriff, there's also things residents can do when it comes to stolen property. Here's more from crime prevention specialist Alan Fifield.
Criminals are banking on you not properly keeping records of your valuables so that they can dispose of them and get money for them. Here are some tips that you can do to help better organize your property around your house and your valuables and make it harder on the criminals. One of the things you can do as a homeowner to better protect your valuables is log the serial numbers on your electronics, your appliances. Some of your large tools will have serial numbers on them. Bicycles, serial numbers are on those. Keeping better records of your valuables will help law enforcement get them back to you if they're stolen. Something else you can do to help law enforcement get your valuables back to you: photograph your jewelry. Take individual photographs of each piece of jewelry you have. On the back of those photographs, write down or describe the jewelry, because most of us are not jewelers. We don't know how many carats of diamonds it might be, or if it's 14 karat gold, or if it's fake. So be very descriptive on the back of each photograph and put them in a safe place in case jewelry is stolen. Another thing you can do, get a video camera, walk around the house, describe all your property, videotape everything. Not only will this help you remember if something's missing and help law enforcement get it back to you, but it may help you in the future with insurance purposes. There's a lot of marking systems out there in the stores. One of the oldest ones that we talk about is called Operation Identification. And what that is, you would get an engraving pen and engrave your driver's license number somewhere on it's meant for electronics. Obviously, you're not going to engrave Grandma's fine china, but you turn your television over, if it's Florida, you would put FL, DL, and then the number. If it was New York, it works for every state, you would put NY, DL, and the number. What that does is it allows law enforcement to run that number if they see it, and we know that property belongs to you. So you get your TV back, and little Johnny goes to jail. Remember, if you, the homeowners, keep good records of your valuables, there are better chances that you're going to get them back if they're stolen. Keeping good video, pictures of jewelry, serial numbers logged, helps us get your valuables back. For more information, look at ManateeSheriff.com. Thanks, I'm Alan Fifield.
You know, Dave, we live in Manatee County, and it's not like the Manatee County of 20 years ago, where you didn't have to worry about your property, you didn't have to worry about locking your car, worry about locking your house, but today you do. So these are some great tips.
Yeah, and along with the ordinance, if people will do these things, you combine it with the new ordinance, and I think it will make it a little easier.
It'll make it stronger for us to make a case.
Stay tuned. We'll have more Sheriff's Patrol right after this.
It's like a little endurance course through the mud, 5-kilometer mud event.
It was very motivating. I think everybody pulling together and the team, everybody coming together as a team, seeing our upper management, our leadership out there, our lieutenants, our captains.
One of the best camaraderie things I've ever seen.
And I had no clue that Brett and Josh didn't have their seatbelts on.
Tonight, a tragic end to the year for students at Lakewood Ranch High School in Mayaca City.
Felt like we flipped maybe 15 times.
Click your seatbelt. In those seconds that it takes to do that will save your life.
I believe if they would have been wearing their seatbelts, they'd still be here. They'd have bumps and bruises, maybe some broken bones, but they'd be here.
You taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, a 9-iron, the net. Even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Welcome back, everyone, to Sheriff's Patrol. In news from the Sheriff's Office, let's turn to our deputies of the month. They are Keith Sutton, Christopher Ralston, John Moore, and Michael Gerhalt. Our employees of the month are Jessica Littler, Yvonne Gard, and Paula Stiles. Turning to promotions, MSO's new first-class deputies are Mark Pearson, Robert Hanson, Francisco Torrero, Kane Parham, Stephen Borgren, Kevin Geis, Brian Keelis, and Charles Wise. We have 3 deputies promoted to sergeant, Matthew Gardif, Andrew Gardif, and Stephen Hart. And finally, promoted to lieutenant is Derek Preston. In years of service with 20 years at MSO, Chris Folds, Brian Nimkowski, and Helen Monty. Hitting the 25-year mark are Barry Coleman, Leslie Johnson, and Nancy Schoaf. Finally, several retirements to pass along: Deborah Freer, Ken Dolgus, Barb Moore, and Joanne Suttner. And finally, on Sheriff's Patrol, here at the Sheriff's Office, we're always encouraging physical fitness. And recently, we had close to 100 employees get down and dirty in a very unusual 5K race. Take a look.
Mud Endeavor, Little Manatee River.
Woo!
like a little endurance course through the mud, 5-kilometer mud event.
Hershey skirts, we got 70 plus going.
When we got there that day, it was packed. Our team started showing up. They had a lot of people there. There was a lot of energy, a lot of excitement.
Mud Endeavor!
You walk up and you just see this big lake, you see the slides. You had that nerves because you see this stuff and you know there was a lot of other stuff that you couldn't see, so you don't know what you're getting into. You just gotta go.
Blow the horn, down a hill, around the corner, you're already in the drink. Immediately in the water.
And the water was cold. Yep.
Then it's either sink or swim and move, because you don't want the next guy behind you to run into you.
Beautiful, baby!
And then we hit the mud.
Mud. Mud. Mud.
That old nasty stinking swamp mud. Yeah.
And then we have rope ladders. You're wet all the time, so I didn't wear gloves trying to get up a rope. What happened?
Your legs are tired, your feet feel like they're 100 pounds.
I'm enjoying it, actually. I kind of eat that kind of stuff up.
There was one field that looked like they flooded it, and they had these wooden frames. You had to go under them and come up for air, and go under and come up for air.
It was a race, but it wasn't actually a race. You know, you're kind of pushing each other, but there was no winner or loser.
I know I was doing a lot of huffing and puffing, but we were just laughing because it really brings you back to being a kid. You're doing fun stuff as a kid. You climb and swing on things and things that you wouldn't think that you would do now.
It was very motivating. I think everybody pulling together and the team, everybody coming together as a team, seeing our upper management, our leadership out there, our lieutenants, our captains.
One of the best camaraderie things I've ever seen.
Ones that have made it are on the hill, on the side over there, rooting people on and so forth.
It really made all the difference because nobody felt like they were left behind.
A lot of the tensions from work was released, and we knew out there all of that was forgot.
This is what it's about, being dirty. We are so muddy. Yeah, if you don't want to get muddy, you don't want to be here.
It was hard, it was challenging, but every single person that I've talked to about it since then is ready for next year.
It built teamwork, but most of all, it was fun. It pushed you enough to where you can enjoy yourself. The only expectation was to have fun.
It's interesting seeing some of those guys finish to the finish line, wasn't it?
Wow. Yeah.
A lot of fun, though.
We were just talking that we haven't participated, and we're probably a little bit past it, don't you think?
I think so.
But I think we need reporter involvement. Why wasn't Randy actually down in the mud and everything? I don't know. All right, that'll do it for Sheriff's Patrol. Remember, you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter by going to our website, manateesheriff.com. For Sheriff Brad Stubbe, I'm Dave Bristow. So long, everyone.